And welcome back. It is a lovely Tuesday morning, and we're now moving into our second conversation for the morning. The Belize Bank receives investment grade rating. Now, in to tell us more, we want to know exactly what that is, but Filippo Alario is in with us. He is actually the Deputy CEO and the Chief Risk Officer for the Belize Bank. Sir, good morning and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, so the bank recently went through a very exhaustive exercise. We decided that it's time for us to get a health check from a well-known rating agency called CARICRIS. CARICRIS is based in Trinidad and Tobago, but is an affiliate of CARICIL, which is an affiliate of Standard & Poor's, who is a gold standard in terms of credit rating agencies. We're very proud of it. We are the first and only Belizean company that has a rating. We came out very good.
Yeah.
You know, it's very important for us to know how we are doing,
of course,
vis-a-vis our peers here, our peers in the region, and actually our peers internationally.
Excellent.
Let's step back to the preparation and even the decision to go to be essentially assessed and see exactly where you are.
Preparation.
Yeah.
Took about 10 years.
Wow. It's a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time because it requires a culture of compliance. It requires a culture of strong policies, strong procedures, and it has to be evidenced throughout the hierarchy of the organization. So you have to go from an office assistant all the way to the chairman and the board. And when you are rated, they don't want to look at 1 quarter or 1 year. They want to see what were the trends going forward. They look at your strategic plan. They want to check you against your strategic plan, and they look at your strategic plan going forward. And so that takes a long time. It's changing the DNA of an organization is not easy. Of course, we are examined a lot. Right?
Yeah.
By our regulator, who is a very strong regulator, by our auditors, by external auditors, by our anti-money laundering auditors. Our holding company is listed in the London Stock Exchange. So there are a lot of things that look at the way we
you
behave.
already had standards in place. It was moving towards this particular rating. But when you speak of changing a culture within an institution, that can always be a challenge. I know recently with the money laundering issues, there were some compliance or some regulations put in place that all banks had to change their systems internally. That was difficult for the public to get used to. Talk about some of the other cultural changes that the bank it took some time for the buy-in.
Well, the anti-money laundering is a big issue, and it's one of the biggest risks that we face. As part of our AML examination, we need to train every single employee, all the way to the board. The board needs to have AML training, our executives, and all the way down. And when those examiners come in, they go and they interview. They go into a branch and they pick up that person and say, tell me a little bit about these rules. That is very difficult.
It is.
That is very, very difficult. We have a very strong and committed staff that has bear with all the changes and all the regulations. And we're very grateful because really they made this happen. Right? This is not the chairman or the executives. This is the organization that is rated. And changing culture, it's something that it takes a long time. I've been here for 10 years, and it's an ever-changing world. The changes are breakneck. Every day is something new. We have rules from here. We have rules from the OECD countries that are imposed on us. So all of that, it takes a long time. But we felt that we are ready. The difference between having a rating agency coming in and looking at you is a little bit different than our regulators or our examiners or our auditors.
Because or even an internal culture,
Yeah, because this is public.
Yeah.
Right? Our examinations from the central bank, you know, they're exhaustive, but they're not public documents. This is, you can go into the website of CARICRIS and see what they found that it's, you know, strong, what are some of the challenges, what can change the rating, because this is not a one-time thing. They're going to come next year and they're going to do it again.
Okay.
Right? So we want, this is a way of checking ourselves.
Is it, and I hear that, it's almost implementing the quality standards that you want, and to align yourself with not just regional but international standards by getting this rating. But what does it mean for people locally? What does it mean for customers?
For customers, yeah.
Well, there is some good news in that respect. Knowing how sound a bank is very important. Everybody should know that. And sometimes, you know, Belize Bank has been here for 120 years.
Wow.
And continuing operating, and people feel that banks can't fail. Banks do fail, we will not. So, you know, for the general public, the good news is that the central bank is implementing a deposit insurance deposit insurance for small depositors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
so
the
it means
general
if the
public
bank closes down, I have some sort of security.
Right, for the general public. So
Yeah.
the people, general public will not lose. But you know, if you are a company, if you are a wealthy individual, if you are a statutory body or the government, you need to make sure that if you put millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars in a bank, that your funds are safe, that those funds are used properly, and that the bank is managed in a way that you know, complies with international standards. You know, there are many things that they look at. They look at the capital, the quality of the assets, make sure that we are not exposed to one particular industry or one particular group of people or single borrowers. They want to make sure that we have enough liquidity. They look at management. They look at, you know, they do sensitivity analysis. What happens if interest rates go up? What happens if interest rates go down? They look at also the technology side of things. You know, 10 years ago, banks didn't worry too much about technology. Today, technology, you know, cybersecurity risk is up there, right? And for us, credit risk might be one or two echelons down. So things are changing. They look at our technology. We have a very, very strong group of very bright people looking at our cybersecurity. They also look at our business continuity. What happens if something were to go wrong? So they look if we have a server, if you have a backup, if we can move all the information immediately into another site. So they look at business continuity too. So there's a lot of things, right?
It took 10 years before you guys decided, you know what, let's do our self-assessment. Let's do this assessment, or have one of the top firms coming in to do it. You did mention that they'll be coming back again next year. Will it be year and year afterwards? And one of the things about this is that people love to go where they know that they're secured. You just received this rating, so I'm sure your customer base will be going up. So will it be a year after year after year, every year, annually?
Year. We are looking to do it every year because it's something that is important to have. You know, when I don't know if you know, correspondent banking has been in the news for years now. You know, that for us has been now stable, but it's still a risk, and this is very important for maintaining our correspondent banking. You know?
And that was actually going to be my question, because I know it has been, and not just in Belize, you know, across the region, because we just don't have the level of amount of money that makes the risk worth it for these larger banks. There's been a lot of struggle. What does this rating mean in terms of being able to keep the relationships going over time, so that next year we don't hear, well, you know, this one doesn't want to deal with the bank anymore in Belize because there's too much risk?
Look, we have correspondent banking risk as a high risk. We put things in place with our correspondent bank. We invite them over to come into the bank. They do their own, they send a group of people, they go into our boardroom, they do selective testing, they look at transactions. So they do on a yearly basis their own assessment. And if there are things that they see that they don't like, you know, we would have to do some corrective actions. So far, so good. But, you know, being that we went through what we went through, you know, we're very cognizant that we want to make sure that we protect that relationship. We visit them at the high level, and they visit us. So I think we're doing the right things, right?
Of course.
So the CARICRIS rating, is that going to be helpful in maintaining that relationship?
Yes, absolutely. The first thing when this rating came in, the first thing I did, check this out. You know, we did this, and they came back and congratulated us, and a great step. But if you look at the rating, you know, they mentioned that, you know, the maintenance of this rating will be based on certain things. So they just don't come and tell you, you know, you're A+, B-. So
they give you homework too.
Oh, they give you homework. They say, you know, these are the things that could happen that could affect this rating. Right? Now,
and there was, you know, the bank doesn't function in isolation. You're dependent on your customers, be it the general public or large companies. And so there are a lot of intangibles that you won't be able to control over the next years. So talk to me about how, in being able to meet the standards for the credit rating and getting the AA+.
So local, we have a AA+, which is one notch before the government, and a BBB- in international standards.
Yes. Okay. So in being able to secure that, how do you plan ahead if you want to keep this rating, knowing that there are other issues externally that you won't be able to control?
Well, you answer yourself, right? There are certain things that we cannot control, right? For instance, they mention in their constraining factors, we have a reliance on the Belizean economy. There's nothing we can do about that. You know, we are in Belize and we are a local bank, and we are constrained like every other bank to, you know, the whims of the economy. Our job is to make sure that we maintain a very strong financial sector. The stronger the bank is, the stronger, the more we can finance the productive sector. So, you know, we are just a part of a bigger picture. So there are macro factors that could affect us. But that's why they do their sensitivity analysis when they say, you know, GDP contracts by X, this could happen, or interest rate will go up by X, and this is what happened. So they look at our earnings, they look at our capital, which is the cushion that allows us to absorb those shocks.
You know, one of the things that we noticed, I think you guys came in on the show to launch the chip, your card with chip. I think you guys were the first one. You guys were the first ones. So while we're top notch when it comes to ratings, what are some of the new products that will be coming in? And I think this is definitely one of the things that they'll be looking for.
Well, correct. And everything that is coming down the pipe has to do with technology. You know, we are on a path of digitization, and I think most banks, if they want to compete in the coming years, you have to be able to get on that bandwagon. And we are spending a lot of money with consultants.
You mean catch the bandwagon, right? That's what we need to do.
We need to catch the bandwagon. But the good thing is that, you know, we have countries around us, and we have the US where, and even the region, where we have a little crystal ball that know what's happening. We know what is going to happen, and we just need to adjust, and we need to be first to market. You know, we want to use technology to be able to reach bankerize a lot of people, financial integration, be able to bank people in remote areas.
Yeah.
And those things are being done in Latin America and US, and Jamaica is doing a great job.
Yeah.
So, opening an account with a phone, everybody has a phone now.
Yeah.
Everybody has
access to internet.
Access to the internet. So, we need to work with the regulators, we need to work with legislation to make sure that, if somebody lives in a remote area, they can open an account. Of course, they won't be able to transact millions of dollars, but, they can start with $200, $300, and they don't have to come inside the bank. The truth is that nobody wakes up in the morning and says, today I'm going to go to the bank. What a great experience. Nobody wants to really go to the bank. They want to go into their app and you pass money to her. I can give you money. I can pay this person. I can pay this person. And that is happening in Belize. It started.
Yeah.
So digitization is really where we're looking at.
Yeah. Now there was another issue I wanted to look at, which was your loan portfolio, which is a critical part of your rating in being able to hit a particular target for non-performing loans. I want to discuss that in seeing how the bank was able to achieve that and how do you maintain it.
We don't have enough time to go into that, what we did, but
well.
what I can tell you is that 7 years ago our non-performing portfolio was over 30%, and now is less than 1%. It's below domestic benchmarks, below U.S. benchmarks, and even that we have enough provisions to cover for that whole thing. So it's just prudent management, underwriting policies. We make sure that we don't get in areas that we don't want to, we think are very risky.
Yeah.
We have
so it's more at the screening level that you've been able to bring this down.
Yeah, and diversification. Make sure that the portfolio is not 100% business banking or 100% retail banking. You have a 50-50 portfolio or a 70 or a 60-40, and make sure that diversification is the key. So sometimes bankers have to be held. We always have targets to make in terms of profits, but sometimes we have to hold back and say, we're not going to go there because the portfolio is going to be skewed, and we pass. So that's a little bit how we kind of manage our loan book.
And at the same time, you also have your clients to serve and always looking for an increased customer base and marketing brand new products and innovative products. So it comes with a balancing act.
It is a balancing act all around. And it's a balancing act to keep, right now one of the biggest challenges is to keep abreast of all the changes that are happening, you know, and find what makes sense for our industry. Right? So we have an innovation committee in the bank. It's a committee of young people that are hungry and vibrant. Nice. We make sure that none of us old folks are there. Right?
Young people and old people.
Yeah, we don't mix. We have our executive, but we do listen to them. We do listen to them. They do a lot of research, and they bring a lot of good information to the executives. For us to, they digest it for us, and then we start to say, well, that sounds good. That sounds good. That sounds good.
One of the things that we, and we do this on a daily basis in terms of the eye opener, and the eye opener speaks a lot to everybody. And it gives ideas on what to do, how to do, and to start your day. I want your perspective on how important it is to do a self-assessment. What does it do for somebody?
Well, a self-assessment on a personal level or from a bank?
Banking, I asked this because then I know how important it's going to be to touch another business.
Listen, self-assessments are important. Sometimes people or companies don't want to do it either for cost or because maybe they don't want to
because they don't have to.
Or they don't have to, or they don't want to hear what somebody says about them. They're being critical. And somebody, if you can't take criticism, then don't do it, right? But it's like going to the doctor. The doctor says, your cholesterol is 1 million.
You feel good, but your cholesterol
You feel good, but you're high. You have to do something about it. So introspection. Make sure that you prepare yourself for these assessments, and then continue on that path and that journey. no matter what happens. Always you can get things, weather events, things that could affect us. But you make sure that you have those things in front of you. Make sure that there are mitigating factors that you can implement quickly.
Yeah. You clearly outlined that this was not an overnight process, and it took many years for the bank to be able to get to the point where you could invite CARICRIS in and achieve the rating that you did. You are the deputy CEO, and you are also the chief risk officer, so your involvement is critical, along with the rest of the team. What would you say is perhaps the change or implemented policy that you are most proud of, that took work, but you are most proud of, that the bank was able to achieve on the path to achieving this rating?
It's hard to say, it's our AML framework or our risk management framework. And I think is a compliance or it is being true to our core values and our virtues that we repeat on a daily basis, right? That's the big picture, right? Being helpful, being honest, being integrity, professional. Those things, if you keep true to your values and your core values, those things will put you in the right path.
Definitely.
And as a part of your rating system, there was also an assessment of the staff, right?
Absolutely.
In terms of their quality level and
they use something called CAMEL approach, right? And under M is management and staff. And they look at our staff, they interview our staff, and that is critical, right? It's critical that the examiners or the people that came and did this rating don't talk to myself or Mr. Giuseppe or other executives, and then underneath, what we say is not taking hold. The other thing about CARICRIS is that this is voluntary. Most regional companies that want to access capital in the capital markets, it is a requirement for institutional investors for them to get a CARICRIS rating for access funds. Now we don't need it. We're not there yet. Maybe in the future, but we did this voluntarily, and we're happy. We're happy with the results. We'll continue to do it every year and come back.
All
Excellent.
right.
Congratulations.
Well, I was going to say, and thank you for coming in and talking about it. It is perhaps not, as you said, it's the first Belizean company to seek out the rating and get the rating that you have. So it was important for us to be able to explain it further to the public as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to be featuring a well-known entrepreneur and autism advocate. Tiffany Simpson is going to be joining us after the break, so stay tuned.